Hello, everybody, and welcome to Local Talk Radio. I am your host, Adrian Alfado. Today, first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is UTRGV joining the Southland Conference for our new and upcoming football and a lot of our other sports leagues that we have. I think we're joining the Southland Conference for everything except for men's and women's soccer, I believe, but every other sport will be underneath that. This is going against, we used to be part of the Westland, the WAC, uh, which is a westward conference for different sports competitions. Essentially, for this, that means that we're in a new league full of more southern state teams. This means that we'll have to spend less money getting our athletes to their various games and competitions that they're playing. So I think this is a great new push for UTRGV to pursue our sports teams that we've been pushing for lately. Especially a big major focus on this here is the new UTRGV football team that is really getting pushed locally. You know, in the article when I was reading about it, I couldn't help but to think that they kept on talking about our rich history of sports and that we're joining a league of with a bunch of rich history in sports. And I don't mean to sound pessimistic, but I don't think a lot of people from the valley really think of UTRGV as like the sports place, right? So I think it's great that we're pushing for that, and I think it's gonna put us on the national map a lot more, and it's probably even gonna bring in quite a bit of revenue for us in the future. I just don't know if I would call it rich already. I don't know. What do you guys think? While you guys are thinking of that, I'm gonna go ahead and get you guys started off with the Ace of Spades by Motorhead. Y'all enjoy. All right, that was Dream On by Aerosmith. Truly a great classic. And welcome back to Local Talk Radio. Once again, I am your host, Adrian Alfaro. This next story I have for you actually has to do with our water supply here in the valley, which is a topic I've touched on in the past with some of my guests talking about the scarcity of the water in the valley. So as we all know, the Rio Grande River has been losing water quantity over the years since we are primarily an agricultural export region. You know, we're well known for our citrus. And as I talked about in a story last week, also our sugar, which had recently shut down. The only sugar mill in the valley recently shut down. So, yes, that means no more falling ash, but also that means sugar prices likely to go up. Um, and I'm reading the story about losing water in the valley, and actually, the water mill is in the story. They blame it on Mexico not doing their part in replenishing the water supply that they've used, and the sugar mill has actually bandwagoned on that, saying that the lack of water from Mexico led to them shutting down their sugar mill since they couldn't get the allotted water to regrow their crop. So I don't know. I don't know honestly the ins and outs of that. I don't know how much water Mexico has used. I don't know any of that sort of stuff. What I do know is we are primarily agriculture, and if we lose our citrus fields, I the valley's a big portion of the valley's identity would be going through a little bit of a crisis. Um, the water supply may be going down, but we're reassured that by former McAllen Mayor Jim Darling that there's no way we would run out of water. The problem would be delivering it, since since our canal system relies on these agricultural properties, requesting water and driving that through. If we were to lose enough water where they couldn't get their water, we would still have enough for everybody to still go about their day, turn on their faucet and have water come out, but we would have to implement various pumps to actually get it from point A to point B, which in and of itself would be expensive. And now that it wouldn't be funded by the agricultural properties, you'd have to wonder where that money would come from, likely from us local taxpayers. But this does also bring up, we're running out of water, and just like I said, we talked about this before in the past. We are also not doing a lot to conserve water in the valley. As you know, many people have non-native plants and grasses in their yard, which require a lot of water. Since they're in a region where they weren't meant to thrive, they're not getting like their normal rainfall they would expect, so people have to water their yards for these plants that'll burn otherwise, or for these grasses that'll burn otherwise if you don't water them. So maybe some of it is Mexico's fault. Who knows? Haven't gone deep diving on that. But instead of just complaining and pointing fingers, we could also take steps, take our future into our own hands, and take steps to minimize our own water usage on our side. I think that's the least we can do. And no matter what, at the end of the day, we do have an abundance of water. In a majority of our lifetimes, we probably don't have anything to fear besides the quality of living that would possibly change due to us not having an agricultural export. I don't know. What do you guys think of that? Should we use more native plants to reduce our use on water, or should Mexico be doing their part to resupply the water that they use? While you think of that, excellent song to think of that too. Maybe we shouldn't take the advice here, but Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC. Now, I don't think we should do dirty deeds, but I think we should listen to this song. You guys enjoy. All right, everybody, and welcome back to Local Talk Radio once again. I am your host, Adrian Alfaro. And last segment I was talking about our water scarcity that we have here in the valley, which isn't so much of a scarcity so much as it would be a change in identity for our region, and certainly it would mean a big change in income for our region. My next story is adjacent to that. I'm at the IMAS Museum, located on Bicentennial and Nolana in McAllen. And McAllen, funny enough, partner for a free World Water Day this upcoming Saturday, where it's a free event, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it is a free event that IMAS will be holding, where attendees will learn more about water through hands-on learning demonstrations, presentations, and more. The purpose of it is to raise awareness for people who live without access to safe water, and is dedicated to ensuring no one is left behind, and to make water a catalyst for a more peaceful world. I'm glad we have access to drinkable water, to safe drinkable water. And I just think it's funny how, on one hand, we have a story in the newspaper complaining about our water situation, and on the other hand, we have an entire event dedicated to celebrating ours and remembering those who do not have. I thought that was a pretty interesting dichotomy between those stories. But that is going to be the end of the stories from me for today. I'll still be here playing some music for you guys until 5 o'clock. But right before we get to that music, I'm just going to play a couple of commercials for you guys. But when we get back from that commercials, just the classic Def Leppard playing Pour Some Sugar on Me. I'll catch you guys next week.